play Switzerland on Saturday night, Bobby. This for me is a massive banana skin now, because Switzerland are a side that did come into the tournament with no real expectation, but they're a side that year on year, tournament on tournament, they've got a good balance of experience. They've got a really good balance of young, youthful quality and technical ability, and they've also got those players that have got a bit of both, that still play like they're young, but that have got the experience. Like Shaqiri's, who can just switch it on whenever he wants. Granit Xhaka, for me, since he's left Arsenal, has become a brand new man. A brand new player. He's started to elicit what he had at FC Basel as a kid, what he was showing at Borussia Mönchengladbach, what he was showing in his first season at Arsenal again. Tricky couple of years for him, but that shows the mental strength needed to get through that sticky patch under Mikel Arteta, Unai Emery, and then come out the other side and be doing it for your country. And that's the kind of mental strength that against England, he's not going to allow his side to flop against.
100%. I think it's more than a banana skin. I think we're playing one of the best teams at this tournament, and that's why they're in the quarterfinals. I watched their game against Italy that was on Saturday as well, and they outplayed them for 90 minutes. The only time they looked like conceding was when Fabian Schär nearly put the ball in his own net. It's going to be an incredibly tough game, and one that I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it's Switzerland that we see progressing to the semi-finals.
Absolutely, and you look at the players they've got up there. They've got Briel Mbolo, somebody he didn't start the first game, but he started the last two games in the group, and again in the knockout game. Switzerland have got a lot of ability. Briel Mbolo, somebody that's a very powerful man, somebody that doesn't shirk a challenge, somebody that loves to hold the ball up, very Ivan Toney-esque, and he's somebody that can run. He'll run in behind, he'll come short, he'll get on the ball, and with no Mark Gahey, that worries me, Bobby.
Yeah. When was the last time John Stones played with either of those three defenders I mentioned earlier? If he did during the warm-up games, he might have done, but not for very long. It's going to be a defensive partnership that's very inexperienced at playing together, and they're going to have a serious job on their hands to keep that Switzerland attack quiet. But if I was the manager, actually, just kind of switch it up a little bit, I'd go three at the back. I'd put three centre halves in there. John Stones as a centre with Kyle Walker and probably Joe Gomez, or maybe Conte as a left centre half. As we were saying, the Switzerland attack's very dangerous, with probably Trent and possibly Saka even as the left wing back. Something's got to change. We can't, if we play like we did yesterday on Saturday. Without a doubt, Switzerland will beat us. So something has to change.
Well, like you said, they play a back three themselves. Very good goalkeeper in Jan Sommer, somebody that again, FC Basel. He had a great move to Bayern Munich, played for Inter Milan, or plays for Inter Milan now. Somebody that isn't, poor between the sticks, Bob. Remo Freuler, another player in there with Granit, that is an enforcer, somebody that works hard, that doesn't give you a minute. Straight away, them two will be talking now in the Switzerland camp about getting all the Jude, getting all the Kobe Manu, trying to tie them two up, nullifying that, like you said, those line-breaking passes and stopping them breaking through, and getting in between, their midfield and their defence. Again, though, you look, Ricardo Rodriguez, experience, Mamola Kanji, Fabian Schär, three centre-halves there, one playing as a hybrid centre-half in Ricardo Rodriguez, used to be a left wing-back, still is, but all three of them, stellar. And then, like I said, you got Briel Mbolo, Dan Ndoye, who's obviously had a great tournament so far, and Fabian Ryder. For me, yes, man for man, I'd say we have better quality.
Yeah.
But in terms of desire, will to win, and experience, we're not too dissimilar, us and Switzerland at the moment, especially not in this preview.
Yeah, I think I'd argue that Switzerland have got the more experience. They seem to be a little bit more clever than us. They kind of know when to, such as Granit Xhaka, they know when to kind of go in and hurt a player almost. And I think that will be the plan against players such as Foden and Bellingham, really get stuck in. And the tactically wise, they're almost perfect. What they did
Yeah.
to Italy, they dominated for 90 minutes. They didn't give them a sniff at all, and I don't see why they'd change against us. With the way we've been playing, if they play like that and we play as we did against Slovakia, then it'll be Switzerland progressing without a doubt.
Well, you got Shaqiri. Zuba's very good as well. Dennis Zakaria again, another one that he moved to Chelsea. Didn't really get the breaks he needed, but again, another stalwart player that doesn't shirk a challenge. It's a powerful side, Bobby. That you could almost say that they've got a mixture of what you would expect from a Serbia, from a Slovakia in there, because they're built very much the same, but with that extra bit of flair. Not to say that the other two sides haven't got that, but that flair and that kind of, I don't know. There's a real European deliciousness to what they can do, if you get what I'm saying in terms of football. Shaqiri's got that trick. I always call it the magician's hat. He's got something in the magician's hat. Granit's got that pass inside the magician's hat. He's also got that long range strike that Rodri's give you for Spain, that Declan Rice attempted yesterday but didn't quite execute to perfection. You don't want to be giving Granit Xhaka time in and around the box. You don't want to be giving him an opportunity to get his head up, look for that little rolled pass to run onto and strike, or even get the ball under control, take a touch himself and have a shot at goal. Because although Jordan Pickford's eloquent between the sticks, the amount of times that Granit Xhaka's popped shots at him, I'm sure he'll fancy himself.
Oh, absolutely. And Switzerland as a whole will fancy themselves on Saturday evening. However, despite all this almost negativity and talking about how good Switzerland are, if England play to our best, we'll blow Switzerland away no matter how well they play. If Bellingham and Kane and Saka and Foden and Rice and whoever's playing, if they play to the best of their ability and come together as a squad, there's no doubt we'll go and win the game. But there's been no inclinations to say we will do that. We've not seen it once this tournament, and we've not seen it for a long time, I don't think.
And you think now, I don't know, I say you think now, Bobby, I'm assuming you think it based on our previous conversations, but just tell me how you feel about this, Bob. So I'm thinking that because Southgate realised how close he was to us going out yesterday, although in his immediate post-match interviews and press conferences, he tried to calm everybody, we all know that managers think very different to what they tell fans and tell players at times. Like, not too dissimilar to what he'll have told the players, no doubt about it, behind closed doors. If he's telling them one thing and thinking another, that's no good for a relationship between players and manager, or managers and player and vice versa. But I think that us as fans now think that Southgate's not as concerned as us. I think he is. I think he realises how close we were to going out. The fact that whether he goes anywhere at the end of this tournament or not, that his job was finished yesterday, he would have gone out. And that players didn't quite do what they maybe should have done, but that he maybe has been holding them back. Maybe it's a reality check, Bobby, now. Maybe he takes the shackles off, allows them to be a bit more free, and allows them to really test themselves against Switzerland, because this is a very, very good dress rehearsal for what may be to come in the semis and the final.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if he needed anything at all to kind of tell him what he needed to know, it was yesterday. I think it was already pretty blatantly obvious to definitely all of us watching from England. But I think after that performance yesterday and how close we were to going out, surely we've got to change something. He has to change something, and if he doesn't change anything after that Slovakia performance, he never will.
That does bring us nicely on to the rest of the Euros. It's going to be a quick recap this one, Bobby. Obviously, the primary focus for us today is England, being the country that we both support. But we're football enthusiasts, we're football obsessives. Standout team of the tournament for me has to be Georgia. They're exciting. I said they are exciting. They were exciting. Unfortunately, they went out last night to Spain, who we may come up against in the semis or the final. But for me, had we have played Georgia playing the way we are at the moment, I'd have been a bit worried, because they are ridiculous in transition, unbelievable 100%. On the break, and players like Kvaratskhelia and Mikatadze, with the pace, with the quality they've got as central players, with obviously Kvaratskhelia being a left winger by trade, the fact they were both able to bounce out to the right and left hand sides, pick up the ball, allow the midfielders to push on and bomb on, and then bounce straight back into central areas to link up with players in transition in the final, well, in middle to final third. Very fluid side. Defensively a bit shaky, but going forward, wow.
Yeah, Georgia I think last night were unfortunate to lose the game by 4-1. I think it was always going to be a high-scoring game. I think they deserve to concede 4 goals, but I think they deserve to score more. The way that Spain went around the game was strange. Going forward, they were spectacular. However, defensively, every time Georgia attacked them, they were always weak defensively. There wasn't many players back, and it was almost like Spain were just always overcommitting, and that obviously in the end worked for them because they scored 4 goals and conceded just the one. But the amount of times that Georgia were breaking, even at one when they were 1-0 up, you're thinking, wow, they could score again here. They could score again here. So I think they were pretty unfortunate not to go two, maybe even 3 goals in front, and the fact that they only scored 1 goal, I think they can be they can get themselves unfortunate there. But it's a fantastic first tournament they've had.
They'll be excited about the future, Bobby. I'm sure you know there's young lads now that are from Georgia that will be thinking, you know, they're 14, 15. They might have a dual nationality, and they're thinking, do you know what? I wouldn't actually mind playing for my country now. If we're going to approach tournaments with that kind of mentality and that front-footedness and that kind of, I wouldn't even call it risk, that kind of self-belief that you can go and come out and play against sides, even like your Portugal second string, as people keep reminding me, but still, what a performance, what a win. And yesterday again, I mean, they were unbelievable against Spain, not frightened of losing the ball and being hit on, just completely and utterly fearless and full of attacking prowess. And I think that if Mikatadze doesn't get a move, it'll be a travesty. And I think that although Kvaratskhelia has said to Napoli, I want to leave, and Napoli are saying, you're going nowhere, sunshine, I think it'll be hard when their resolve is tested to keep hold of him.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be teams coming knocking now with up to £100 million plus, and I will struggle to see if Napoli rejecting that kind of offers. I'm not entirely sure what teams I think we're talking about. Is PSG one of the names mentioned?
I think PSG is always a tricky one, though, isn't it? Because you want to be. I think PSG somewhere, and there's no disrespect to Paris Saint-Germain or French football. You know, very very good team. You know, a league that does sometimes get a bit of flack, but yeah, it's quite entertaining to watch during certain games. I just feel like it'd be too early for him to go to France. A bit slower. He wants to be playing front-footed, energetic football somewhere like, you know, Germany or England, obviously being the best.
Yeah, I think Germany would be a perfect move for him. So
Bayern Munich, or a Dortmund maybe now with Ian Maatsen moving on as a wide player. Bobby, the rest of the groups, you know, we speak about Germany. Made pretty light work of it in the end. Looked pretty different class. The Netherlands struggled, of course, but they went through third. We could come up against them very, very soon. And in terms of the group stages, everything was pretty straightforward, bar Austria.
Yeah, almost absolutely as you'd expect. But Austria winning that group with France and Netherlands in it is quite spectacular. But they're definitely a team to look out for. But they're a side that, and they could play the Netherlands again in the quarterfinals. They're a side that I can see progressing at least to the semi-final, and there's every chance Austria could be in the final of this Euros. And if Austria go and win the Euros, then wow, that is quite remarkable. A team that a lot of people had down as dark horses, but I don't think they had down as winning it. And I think they've every chance.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, you look back 20 years ago, some of the maddest things were happening in European football. You had FC Porto winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
You had Greece winning the Euros.
Denmark as well.
Denmark, I think Real Zaragoza, I think they won. I think it was the Copa del Rey, I think. I think you had, who won the Spanish First Division now? Valencia against the odds. Barcelona and Real Madrid were going for it. You know, you look at some of the stuff that was happening in 2000, Arsenal Invincibles that same year. You know, you look at, you know, maybe 20 years on, something really, really mad happens again in European football. You know, I don't obviously want that to be the case because obviously we want England to win it. But if Austria were to win it, Bobby, that'd be scintillating for Austrian football, and it would be very, very good for them. Like we were talking about with Georgia for the future generation of that country.
Yeah, I think if England aren't to win it, I would like it to be either Austria or Switzerland because I think they've been two of the best sides at the Euro so far. Well, speaking of two of the best sides in the Euro so far, Spain and Germany face each other in the next quarterfinals. Wow, what a game that is going to be!
What a spectacle! What a spectacle! And it's going to be matchups all over the pitch. You have Toni Kroos against Pedri and Rodri in there. Arguably two of the best holding midfielders of recent years in Toni Kroos, or the recent decade. Toni Kroos and Rodri going hell for leather against one another. You look at the flair that they've got with Yamal, Spain on the right hand side. You look at Nico Williams on the left, who quite frankly is one of the most exciting young players I've ever seen play on the left wing ever. Right foot, left foot, takes him onto the byline, chops him. Does a lovely step over. The pass to Rodri, by the way, for Rodri's goal yesterday. Me and Danny Rowe call it the Deulofeu. And although Deulofeu was for Watford in a semi-final against Brighton, I think it was, where he just flicks the heel into the top corner. Wolves. Wolves. Sorry, it was against Wolves. And then Watford played us in the final. That's outstanding. And I think it's that pass where there's no backlift on it, Bobby. Ronaldinho was the key player. He was the player that did it more often than anyone. No backlift. He'd shoot with no backlift like he did against Chelsea all them years ago with a little wiggle. He's nonchalant, is Williams for a young lad.
Yeah.
And obviously his older brother, Iñaki Williams, of course, who plays for Athletic Bilbao, will be very pleased to see his younger brother doing so well for the country that they both love.
100%. And I just hope that it isn't one of those, and we see it so often, when you get a big game, two huge teams coming up against each other, or two huge nations, it can so often be such a cagey affair and it'd be 0-0 and go to extra time and maybe penalties. I just hope both teams go for it. And from what we've seen so far, I don't see why it shouldn't be that. Spain look like Spain, they're playing like Spain do, but like they did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. For the last 10, 15 years, they haven't been great. They've been playing in a Spanish way, but not too well. Germany are playing like Germany do. Very like a very well-oiled machine. They've not been so well-oiled in the past few years. I think they found the right oil this year.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully England can get some of that oil. We need a bit of Castrol GTX, so it was a bit of liquid engineering to get us going, I think, in this tournament, because it wasn't quite liquid enough yesterday. But it got better. It got better in the extra time, and hopefully that does spur us on to go and win the tournament, Bobby. What a podcast. Great. Breaking Lines, first episode. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Bob. And hopefully you've enjoyed listening to it.